Welcome back to another Mackem in the Middle podcast. Once again, another signing has been made at Sunderland. The second official signing of the window. Obviously, Daniel Ballard was the first from Arsenal. Leon Diaku signed a permanent. Jack Clark signed a permanent after a loan deal. And of course, Patrick Roberts as well. But Sunderland did announce the signing of a defender from the Premier League, a rumour that was rumbling a little bit earlier in the week. No one knew the name. And at 1 p.m. yesterday, it was announced to be, and I'm going to say his name, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Elese, I think it is. I'm sure I'll be corrected on that very shortly, if not. But it's a 4-year deal for the 21-year-old defender. Highly rated. He's been in the youth ranks at England, obviously played alongside the likes of Dennis Serkin and Dan Neil while doing so. And fair to say the reaction on Twitter was promising if you're a Sunderland fan. And very shortly we'll get into that because I am joined by a West Ham fan, otherwise known as West Ham Report on Twitter. How are you getting on, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Like I said, the reaction from West Ham fans when this was announced was definitely one-sided, and it's definitely one that should excite Sunderland supporters.
Yes, it was. It was probably one of the most shocking, just in terms of there was just nothing about it. With West Ham transfers, there's always a rumbling, and this one just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he's played pretty much. I think he's played every game in the pre-season as well. And it just come out of nowhere. You're thinking, he's 21 years old now, and from the West Ham side, it's always really well reported how much that David Moyes would like to have left-footed, left-sided centre backs, because we got Ogbonna. We spent 30 million on Aguerd, and then we had this guy coming in as well, because we know that Ogbonna's coming back from a knee injury. So we thought that he'll be getting his chance this season, and just if it was a loan move, I'd be like, amazing, like that's exactly what he needs. But just to sell him, I was like, wow, okay, that's out there. So, but he's a quality. He's a really good player. He's like the more senior centre back from the youth side, being 21. But he was definitely like the best player as well. So it's fair to say the fan reaction from West Ham side was one of a bit of shock, because we don't like selling our younger players.
Yeah, and I suppose there's one question I'll ask you before we go any further: is he better than Frederick Alves?
100%. Yeah, I mean that was a bit of a strange one. We signed some lad called, I think it was Haksabanovic or something like that, sort of a couple of seasons before, and again it was just a random signing of a young player on fairly big wages for someone of like the stature in the team, and just never saw him in a West Ham shirt. Sent him out on loan, did nothing, as did Alves with Sunderland. He was meant to be something decent, and now he's back in Denmark doing whatever. So it's going to be a lot better than him, a lot better.
Yeah, and I don't think it's actually been confirmed anywhere, but the rumour was it's around 500,000 for the deal, and I think West Ham have also put a 25% sell-on clause in. I mean, I don't know if you've heard different, but if that is the case, is that a good deal for West Ham?
I mean, realistically, yes and no. I mean, at the end of the day, we very rarely put in clauses in our deals which sort of safeguard the club sort of long term with like getting money. Like we sold Sebastian Haller for absolutely peanuts to Ajax, and he's just gone to Borussia Dortmund for a load of money, and we're not going to see a penny because we had no sell-on clause.
Yeah.
So putting a sell-on clause, if he does amazing for Sunderland, realistically, I probably would expect Sunderland to maybe not want to sell him, and maybe keep hold of him so we don't see that money. But 500,000, it depends how you think about it. He's only ever played 2 senior games for us. One was in the Europa League, which, in fairness, him and Baptiste at the back, they played really well. We only lost 1-0. It was a team full of kids. I think his second appearance was in a 5-1 victory against Hull the season before, and he was playing in a defence with a younger Ben Johnson, who wasn't as established in the first team at all, and Harrison Ashby as well, who was just breaking into the team at West Ham as well. So that was a young sort of back four with one senior player in, and to hold your own 5-1 still, I think it's quite a good result. I'd give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. So
yeah, and obviously when I was looking through the West Ham the tweet with all the replies on. There seemed to be a point in, I think it was last season, where you seemed to have a lot of injuries defensively, and yet he was still not really given a chance. Any reason for that?
Yeah, it's David Moyes really. I mean, it's a hard one because he does give young players a chance. He's given him a debut in the Europa League, and he's given lots of players their debuts, but it's been quite apparent that it's quite difficult for the younger players to kind of, if they do get that one game, to maybe continue to get them. So yeah, I think the person to blame for that is probably David Moyes, which I'm sure all the Sunderland fans will be able to
Yeah, 100%.
blaming him for that something. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think we was really progressing well in Europe. The league position we was in was still well. We still was in a chance with the Europa League, which we kind of messed up on the last day of the season. We still managed to get Europe anyways. I think the reasons why he didn't really get the chance is because if you play him in a Europa League sort of knockout game, or you play him towards the end of the season in the Premier League and it doesn't work out, then that's probably too much of a pressure to put him into. So
Yeah.
there's many ways you can think about it. So
yeah. And obviously he's had a few loan spells, I think, elsewhere. I know he was at Accrington, and off the top of my head, I can't think of the other clubs he was at.
it
I
was
was
Cambridge
I was going to
United.
say Cambridge there. I didn't want to say it in case it was wrong, but I think it's Cambridge and Accrington, isn't it?
Yeah,
That he's been on loan to. So he has had a few loan spells and played, senior football at other clubs, but never in the Championship as of yet. Obviously, he still is only 21 years old.
yeah.
From what you have seen of him, obviously, I think he's played pretty much every game in pre-season for West Ham.
Mm.
Has he got what it takes to step up to the Championship?
I think so. I mean, I think the reason why he's managed to get the move in the first place is because he's a youth player playing at that level, sort of in our under 23s, and he's playing at that level when he's getting the opportunity for West Ham. It's just hard to see that he's at that level from an outside perspective because he's not played in the Championship. In pre-season he's been solid. He's very quick for a centre back. He's absolutely solid. He is a big lad as well, and he's really good on the ball. He's quite happy to bring the ball into feet, drive forward, pass it
Yeah,
around. He scored in pre-season as well. I think it was a bit of a scrappy goal, but again, he puts himself in the right positions to be able to get that. So, like I said, when we saw that he was sold on a permanent, we was quite shocked because he's looked good in pre-season. So, yeah, I think he's going to be a good player in the Championship. Whether or not he'll be a starter to begin with, who
yeah.
knows? But I predicted on my Twitter feed that by the end of the season, I think he will be in that first team and he'll be a solid player. That's my predictions for him, anyways.
Hopefully so. Um, Obviously, I'm sure you've seen the videos as well, because as soon as it was announced, Sunderland Twitter did flock to West Ham and anything they could find of him. And there was a few clips on Twitter that ended up getting shared. Obviously, there was one in pre-season, I think. I think it was against Ipswich, actually, where he's, about 30 yards behind the attacker, sprints back, makes a tackle, shows his pace. And obviously the goal that he scored for the under-23s, which ended up getting goal of the season, where he drives forward, that's a decent finish in the end. Does that just outline what his strengths are, his pace, his ability to dribble forward with the ball?
Yeah, I think it clearly does. I mean, he's been regarded as a really good player in the under 23s, and I think just those two examples there, I think they show that in sort of clear day for all the Sunderland fans. I'm not going to say he's going to be a centre back who's always going to drive forward and score a goal in a season like that, dribbling through a whole team. His chances of doing that in the Championship are probably a lot slimmer, but it shows
Yeah,
what he's got about him, and the defending as well. As he's the best way to describe it is like a get out of jail free card. Defenses, they always make mistakes. Even the
yeah,
best defense in the world. But if he's got something which can give you that sort of get out of jail in those moments, and for him it's the pace and getting back and being able to make that last ditch challenge, then yeah, he's going to be a good player for you, certainly.
yeah. Obviously, I read that he's 6'4", but on the video he did not look 6'4". Is he actually that tall?
I think he's around about that, maybe 6'3", 6'4". I think he's not. I think because he's quite a built lad. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Like, you kind of look at him to begin with, and you're like, oh yeah, definitely over 6 foot, standard centre
Yeah.
back. When you see him on the pitch, he's definitely got some presence about him, especially
Yeah.
in the Zagreb game. I mean, he would have been, I think he was 20 at the time, and he was playing in a centre back partnership with his under 23 partner, which is someone called Baptiste,
Yeah.
who's 18, I think. And but both of them together, they just look like grown men out there. So, yeah, he's a big lad. He's big enough for the league, definitely.
Yeah. And obviously Sunderland's recruitment over the last year or so has definitely changed from what it used to be. Going back 3 or 4 years, instead of signing the likes of Joel Lynch, Darren Gibson, whoever we would sign, the recruitment is clear as to what Sunderland are trying to do. The likes of Dennis Serkin, who came in. Obviously Tottenham have a buyback clause on him. Daniel Ballard from Arsenal. So the aim is to bring in young players who aren't quite breaking into the first team at the parent club, bringing them in on long-term deals, potentially with a sell-on or a buyback clause, with the ceiling of, Premier League football. Is Elese one of them players that you can see playing Premier League football in the next 3, maybe 4 years?
Yeah, 100%, and I think that's shown by the fan reaction, really, because I think West Ham fans, and especially myself, I think was at least expecting to see him maybe make his debut this season in the Premier League. He's only played for us in the cups, but he's played in the Europa League in a group stage game. Okay, albeit we already knew that we were through by that stage. But it goes to show that he can still be trusted to be put into the side. So yeah, 100%. The potential is there. Whether or not it's the same thing with transfers, isn't it? It can always look good on paper.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out. But
Will
like I said,
Grigg, I think, is a prime example of that.
oh, that's the worst signing you guys have ever made. Shocking. But yeah, like I said, the potential's there. Um, I think I think maybe Sunderland signing the young players is definitely the step forward, because you got Danny Bath at the back, and you've got Bailey Wright as well. That's like
Yeah.
your core. That's your core sort of experience and leadership you need there. Then you need a group of young guys around them to challenge them, and ultimately who are going to grow into hopefully better footballers from both of them, which will elevate Sunderland. So yeah,
Yeah.
he can definitely be the Premier League, but I think the aim is to get him as an established Championship player first.
Yeah, hopefully that is with Sunderland. And before we leave it there will be some Sunderland fans that, might not be using Twitter as much. They might not have seen as much of the fan reaction from the West Ham side. And I'd imagine there's a lot of Sunderland fans that just haven't heard of him before, before yesterday. That probably includes me and many others. So, to the Sunderland fans who won't have heard of him, won't have heard of the reaction from the West Ham supporters, what would you say to them?
So the player that Sunderland have signed, he was our under 23 captain and was for a while. I think he took over the captain from Declan Rice and Connor Coventry. Connor Coventry again did really well for MK Dons last season. That shows you sort of how regarded he was at West Ham. He's a left-footed, left-sided centre back. If you haven't seen the videos yet of his pace, then there's a couple of examples of him, and he's just a down-to-earth, well-regarded player who's really well liked. So yeah, you've got a good egg in the team there, and hopefully he'll break into the side and do some good things. Unfortunately, all of his good football has been on only 2 cup occasions for West Ham, nothing in the league, and mainly in the under 23s. But it doesn't mean to say that he's not going to do well. So yeah, it'll be an exciting signing.
Yeah, hopefully so, but we will see. We will wrap it up there. At the time when this comes out, Sunderland will have played their pre-season friendly against Dundee United, which, as it stands, kicks off in just under 2 hours. Whether he's involved or not is obviously yet to be seen. But if he is, obviously check out Twitter and you'll see reports and tweets about how he got on. And the whole team as a whole, really. Obviously, Daniel Ballard, Jack Clark, they'll all be looking to get match fitness as well. So, should be a good game, should be an interesting game, and one to look forward to. But we will wrap it up there. I appreciate you coming on to join me.
That's all right. Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No worries. We will be back with another podcast next Thursday, where we are going to be discussing unpopular football opinions as something a little bit different. Otherwise, in the meantime, we'll be back when Sunderland make another signing, which could be right round the corner. But until then, We will see you later.
That's all, folks.